What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, just welcome. My name is Gemma Jade, but today we are going to be discussing the Skinwalkers, okay? I've recently been coming across encounter after encounter with an entity I don't know much about. What I do know about the Skinwalker is that it's evil, it's a shapeshifter, and in some myths and legends, it collects the souls of those who die in its vicinity. The fact that over and over again lately, I've been coming across either encounters with them or just seeing a program on TV that mentions them in one way or another, it got me to wondering exactly what they are and where they come from, and of course, if they're really real. Almost everyone in this community has heard the tales of Skinwalker Ranch, and I'll be covering that place in an entirely separate video. For now, though, let's just focus and look and see if we can accurately define the Skinwalker and figure out exactly what its purpose is. Let's go crazy also and see if we can figure out where it came from or comes from. So, in mainly just trying to get an answer or an overview of this, I see that this entity is very prominent in the Navajo tribe of the Native American people. I know that many other tribes have a similar legend, but I'm talking about what I'm seeing the most when trying to get some research done on this particular subject. The Navajo Nation sprawls out over a vast area of the United States, states of New Mexico and Utah, and it is a place steeped in legends, myth, and all manner of spirits and magic. And you guys know, or should know by now, when I speak of magic, I'm speaking of magic with a K. There are so many legends, and they range from kind of spooky to downright terrifying and everything else that's in between. The Skinwalker, as far as I can tell, is one of the most frightening entities one could ever come across. It's been that way in my own personal experience as well. I've come to personally know the Skinwalker as this stick tree looking entity that's straight from the bowels and deepest, darkest circle of hell. I'm not even sure if this Skinwalker thing that I'm seeing and that I'm coming to know as Skinwalker is the same thing as what's being described as the aforementioned Skinwalker that's like at Skinwalker Ranch. I do my research sometimes as I'm writing the script, so it ends up being just as much of a surprise for me as it is for you guys. The only other place I've ever saw Skinwalker as I've come to know it, as I've come to see it, is in an episode of Dead Files where Amy sees the same exact thing and recognizes it as Skinwalker. Other than that, I literally can't find anything of Skinwalker as to what I'm seeing. Very rarely when I see this thing, it's quite terrifying, but I'll get to that when I get into personal stories and encounters. So the Skinwalker of Navajo legend seems to prowl around for helpless victims, and there's so much information on them, so many different legends spread throughout so many different cultures that I can't fathom for a second that it's all just one big myth, one big made up thing. They are referred to in the native tongue as Yi-Nanalushi, which I'm sure I'm mispronouncing. This literally translates to, quote, he who goes on all fours, end quote. They are typically described as having once been powerful witches or medicine men who, through magical means that vary from tradition to tradition, have acquired various supernatural powers, chief among them the ability to shapeshift into various animal forms, such as coyotes, crows, cows, wolves, bears, cougars, owls, and others, as well as half-human abominations that merge the features of animal and man. They are also said to be extremely fast, strong, and agile, and have an assortment of other powers, such as the ability to mesmerize, instill supernatural fear, read minds, sow confusion, and to possess the bodies of others for short durations. They're usually described as being rather animalistic looking. Even when they're in their human form, they're often naked, but not always, and are generally seen as being almost impossible to kill, with one of the only ways to use a bullet or knife covered in special white ash, that being the only way said to be able to actually terminate them completely and permanently. So far, this is definitely terrifying, but it's not at all what I had in mind when I was thinking Skinwalker, because I was thinking of what I've come to know as the Skinwalker. So it looks like I'll have to do another video on the type that I've come across and stick to the shapeshifters for this one. The most common method for becoming a Skinwalker is said to be for the medicine man or witch to bring a dark curse upon themselves by performing rituals and rites of pure, unadulterated evil. In order to be imbued with their dark powers, they, in addition to these gruesome rituals, are said to be required to commit great atrocities or grave taboos. This could even include the murder of a loved one and other unmentionable and horrifying acts that I'm not going to put on this YouTube video. If it all is done correctly, though, they are infused with the insidious curse and all of the sinister powers that come along with it. This most often results in the newly minted skinwalker being banished from the tribe, after which they wander the wilderness, stalking and tormenting anyone they come across, feeding off of the fear that they conjure in those who look upon them. They will roam the deserts and badlands and really wherever forever. It's crazy to think that all of this, according to the legend, is inflicted upon them by their own hand. Like, why would you want this? Is it because of the immortality? I mean, almost immortality as far as only being able to be killed with something with white ash? I don't know. I don't get it. Immortality as a vampire, I totally get. So what I just spoke to you about is like the main legend, the main lore, but there are so many variations. It's hard to get complete details, as this is the legend very much kept within the tribes. Almost never spoken of to outsiders and rarely discussed even among the Navajo themselves, as it's considered taboo to do so, and they believe it can draw the attention of the creatures. Being half Cherokee, and Steve is also half Cherokee, Steve Stockton, he agrees that yes, that's why in our live streams when we used to talk about the BEK, everything would just go to crap and stop working, because I believe, because of my ancestors and the knowledge that I was given by them, and what I know just from researching, is that you can draw these entities to you. That's why it's not good to talk about demons. You don't say their name by name, things like that. Maybe it's just that we don't want to have to know that we know, or even that it exists at all, right? I always say in this community and in my line of work, there is no room for coincidence, right? So when technology starts shutting down, when you start getting sick, when you're researching demonic entities because you didn't put up light, right? Things like that. I've come to find, too, that many legends vary among tribes, and though none of these tribes will mention it specifically by name, they're all in agreement on what the hideous thing looks like. They say it's basically a deformed, animalistic body, marred face, and blazing orange-red eyes. This whole concept doesn't really mesh or blend with any science I have ever heard of, but that doesn't, at least in my eyes, discredit it. Again, it's a legend that's as old as time, and it spans generations and cultures, and I honestly do believe in it, so let's get into that. The first encounter I have for you guys today is from a witness who says her family owns a farm on the heart of a reservation. She states, quote, "So this happened about 12 years ago. One winter, I was home for Christmas taking care of the farm while my parents were away Christmas shopping. As I was home by myself very late in the night, and I heard all our cows freaking out. I knew it had to be the wild dogs that are rampant in the area. So I throw on some boots, grab a shotgun, load it up, and head out to the field. This was a perfect scenario for a horror movie. It was cloudy, but there was a full moon, and it was breaking through the clouds just right to light up all the snow. I ran out into the middle of the field, and just in time, I saw two dogs. They were standing up facing each other and fighting. I think, perfect, 2 for 1. So I pumped a shell in the chamber of Mr. 12 gauge, and then it happened. The 2 dogs heard the rack. They both stopped, looked over at me, ran away, on their back legs. Immediately I froze, and every ghost story about skinwalkers and all the other native legends I grew up with flew through my mind. Keep in mind, I'm a white guy, and up until then, these were all just boogeyman stories the native kids like to tell to scare us. That night, they became real to me," end quote. Much of the time, encounters with these horrifying entities happen at the roadside too, as in someone is driving and comes across one just standing on the side of the road. They realize what they're looking at and get the hell out of there, but as they speed up, this half-man, half-beast thing follows right on the heels of their speeding car. Could a coyote or other animal in this area possibly be that fast? What animal could be that fast that lives in the area? The people who have these encounters swear up and down that it was not a regular animal, but something hideous and much more evil. While researching, I found a case that makes me wonder about something I talk about very often on this channel: people who go missing. Take a listen and tell me what you think about this one, all right? The witness reported that he was with some friends, again in New Mexico, and they were out in the desert exploring some old Spanish ruins when they had the most frightening encounter of their lives. It was an encounter the witness says he knows he will never forget for as long as he lives. It was nighttime and the moon was out. They were doing what young adults do and exploring while goofing around and having some fun with it. Kind of like on their own little adventure in their own small part of the world. We've all most likely done something similar, right? So suddenly the friends heard this angry, kind of violent sounding, piercing shriek. It flowed through the air around them. This is what the witness said happened next. Quote, "It was going from wall to wall really quick, screaming the most blood-curdling scream you've ever imagined. We noped the F out of there. One of my friends pissed his pants and drove for a few hours to Bandelier National Monument, where we plan to camp out there for the rest of the weekend. We got to Bandelier at probably like 6 or 7 a.m. and set up our camp. After a few hours just talking about what the hell happened at the ruins, I went to take a piss behind a probably only like 300 feet from our camp." Guys, keep in mind, I'm just quoting this, so it's a little off. "This is where everything starts getting a little fuzzy. I remember seeing 2 dust devils coming my way, and when I turned around again, 2 of my friends were there, and they were motioning for me to follow them. I couldn't help but to follow them, like I was being pulled into them by shackles. I followed them for what seemed like 10 or 15 minutes, and then I snapped out of it. These weren't my friends. They had bright red hair with my friends' faces and cat eyes. Both of these friends were brunettes. I stopped walking and they looked at me with probably the most terrifying gaze I've ever seen. Monsters in movies are nothing compared to this. I turned around and ran as fast as I could back the way I came from. After like 5 minutes of full sprint, I got back to that rock that I pissed at and found our camp. Everyone was there, still sitting around talking, and didn't even notice that I had gone. I told them what happened with the lookalike skinwalkers, and we packed up everything and left, probably within like 10 minutes, and got the hell back to Albuquerque," end quote. So, when we're speaking of shapeshifters, whether skinwalker or otherwise, and yes, there will be a video soon on some other types, we must remember they don't only take the shape of animals. They're not always this hideous monstrosity, deformed, half werewolf creature. And I also just noticed while reading and going through this script and doing this video that most of the encounters, if not all of them, always mention the full moon. So this got me wondering if it's just that when you're a shapeshifter, you could become whatever or whoever you choose. Does it depend on the type of curse that was put upon the person in order to cause the affliction? More research is definitely needed here, guys. Our final witness says his encounter happened in 1993 when he was a security guard at a small hotel in Taos, New Mexico. On this particular evening, he had been working the graveyard shift, patrolling in his car around the hotel grounds, and he decided to park and take a nap. Little did he know that he was about to have a surreally terrifying brush with something beyond his comprehension. He says of what happened next, quote, "It was after midnight, close to 2 a.m., and I was in my car patrolling. I parked under a tree, and I guess I semi-drifted off. Suddenly, something struck the bottom of my car with enough force to make it sway. This car was a rather heavy 1978 Thunderbird. I started the car and pulled toward, turning around in the lot. Sitting where I had been parked was a dog-like thing with an odd face staring me down. I felt a dark energy about it, like it was invading my very soul. It had human features, especially the eyes. They had that spark of a human, but they were wholly evil. Its face didn't have a long snout. It looked like a human nose, a bit extended, but not black-tipped like a dog. As for size and body, it was a bit bigger than an adult German Shepherd. Its fur was rather mangy and dirty-looking black and tan. It was thickly muscled. Looking at this thing gave me that feeling of fear instinctively when you know you're in big danger. I hit the gas and tried to hit it with the car. It ran off the property onto native land across the road. It then ran back across onto the hotel property. I made chase. It ran into a third parking lot. It then ran into an area called the Ponds, where the weeds grow about 8 to 9 feet tall. There were 2 large cesspools there, and the area was really weed-filled. I parked and grabbed my pistol and ran on foot after it. I could hear it moving through the weeds. It was circling, trying to come up behind me. Then it rushed and threw me aside like I was built of matchsticks. I felt around and found my pistol and made chase. What ran in on 4 legs ran back out on 2. It looked like a shambling, nude, man-like thing that screamed as it fled. The scream was both human and animal. It was horrifying. The thing ran across an area that had sagebrush and cactus in the direction of some houses, so I could not risk a shot at it," end quote. When he recounted this story later on to some of the other workers in the hotel, mainly the housekeeping staff who were Native Americans, though I'm unsure of what tribe, possibly Navajo, because that's the main one in the area as far as I could tell, but they told him that he had met a skinwalker. Right after the encounter, he started having terrible nightmares, a bunch of health problems he previously didn't have, and he swears he started to have extremely bad luck. He attributed all of this to the skinwalker encounter. It got to the point where he actually sought out a native shaman to cleanse him and with a ritual and sacred smoke. He believes the skinwalker had been stalking him for weeks or possibly even months and couldn't for the life of him figure out why. He says the meetings with the shaman have given him a spirit protector in the form of a white wolf, which has managed to break the spell of the skinwalker, dispel the nightmares, and allow his health to stabilize. that's all I have for you today, guys. I know this was a short one, but as always, my research is still ongoing. Please be sure to leave a comment, give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already. If you are subscribed, hit the notification bell and spread the love by sharing this video. We have to spread awareness, guys, so that people don't go chasing a skinwalker into the woods, right? Also, check out the description box for all of the usual stuff, for a link to my Wednesday night live stream, a link to my Saturday and Sunday night after hour show on Spaced Out Radio. If you're not subscribed already to Spaced Out Radio, please go on over there and hit that subscribe button. Make sure your notification bell is on so you can get the notifications for Saturday and Sunday nights, the after hour show from 11 p.m. Eastern to 2 a.m. Eastern. And it's me, Big Willie Townsend, and the fedora-wearing, sexy-haired John Hudson. Guys, we talk all things woo. We have a blast. It's so much fun. Like, I can't even explain it. So go on over there. If you'd like to purchase my book, Missing the Fae Theory, on Amazon, you can go ahead and find the link to the paperback and the Kindle in the description box. If you want an autographed copy, hit me up through email before you make the purchase. If you have any encounters with the supernatural and or paranormal that you would like to be a part of my listener encounter series, please email them to me at GemmaJadeParanormal@gmail.com. I probably won't get back to you as far as the encounters right away until I'm ready to put them in a video. It can take me a month or two, guys. So please be very patient. If you would like a personal intuitive oracle reading for donation or free, please also email me at the same email address, GemmaJadeParanormal@gmail.com. Information for donations to the channel in the description box include PayPal, CashApp, Patreon, and my Amazon wish list for my channel. Oracle decks, gemstones, whatever I need for the channel. And I'm also going to be launching another channel, so there's some stuff in there to try and get that channel up and running as well. I've got a lot of huge stuff, possible courses on how to read oracle intuitively, courses on herb magic, crystal magic, herbs and crystals in general. Guys, I have so much stuff coming up for the new year. It won't be right away. I'm doing it all now. So please stay tuned. Share this video with a friend. Share my content with a friend. Try to get the subscriber count up. I appreciate all of you. I hope to see you on my Wednesday night live oracle readings, where I pull one card for every person who comes in and wants one. First come, first serve basis. Can't talk today. And it starts around 7:15 p.m. Eastern time and goes to 10:45, 11 o'clock. I usually get everyone in, and I got a ton of new decks. All right, guys, I have rambled enough for the end of this video. I love you. Be kind to each other. It doesn't cost anything. It can make you feel so good. Also, though, make sure you're being kind to yourself. Smile at a stranger. Always go in grace. Have your best day. Have your best night. And I will see you next time.